What would you do if your new rescue dog turned out to be the key to uncovering a dark, mysterious past? For Emily, adopting Rex was supposed to be a fresh start. Instead, it became a fight for survival and a test of unwavering love. It started as a quiet evening, just Emily and her loyal dog, Rex. But when a mysterious car parked outside her home, everything changed. Why was someone watching her? Who was really after Rex? And what secret from his past had followed him to her doorstep? As the storm raged outside, Emily realized she wasn't just protecting her dog. She was protecting herself from a danger she couldn't fully understand. What happens when shadows of the past refuse to stay buried? Would you have the courage to stand your ground? Before we journey further into this unforgettable story, make sure you're subscribed to Epic Story Moments. Hit that bell icon now so you never miss an incredible tale. Join our community by liking, sharing, and commenting to keep these heartwarming stories coming. And hey, tell us where you're watching from. We love connecting with you all. The cold metal cage surrounded Rex, a German shepherd with scars both visible and unseen. His body lay motionless, his eyes void of hope as the echo of barking dogs filled the shelter. Rex didn't join them. He had long since stopped trying. His world had shrunk to this small cage, and his spirit was crushed under the weight of abandonment. Every day that passed only solidified his fate. He was on death row, with no visitors, no second chances, and no one willing to see beyond the scars. The shelter was silent that night, except for the occasional whimpers of other dogs, but Rex lay still, his large frame curled into the corner. The once proud posture of a shepherd had been replaced by defeat. He flinched at sudden noises and recoiled from outstretched hands. Memories of pain etched deep into his mind. Weeks ago, he had stopped barking, realizing it brought no one to his cage. Visitors always gravitated toward the playful, younger dogs. To them, Rex was a problem dog, too big, too intimidating, and marked with a record that hinted at aggression. But the truth was simpler. Rex wasn't aggressive. He was afraid. That night, Rex let out a soft whimper, not a call for attention, but a quiet resignation to his fate. Across town, Emily sat in her small apartment scrolling through her phone. A vet tech by profession, Emily had spent years helping animals, but her own life had become a cycle of self-doubt and excuses. Her apartment was too small. Her hours were too long, and she felt unequipped to take on a dog with a troubled past. Yet, when a post about Rex appeared in her feed, something in his eyes struck a chord. The caption read, "Rex, 5 years old, needs a home by tomorrow or will be euthanized." The grainy image on her screen showed a broken soul, not a dangerous animal. Emily stared at it, her heart sinking. "You can't save them all," she whispered. A phrase she had heard too often, but this time the words felt hollow. Without thinking, she picked up her phone and called the shelter. When no one answered, she left a voicemail, her voice trembling with urgency. "Hi, my name is Emily. I saw your post about Rex. Please don't do anything until I come by tomorrow." As she hung up, Emily felt a wave of uncertainty. Could she handle a dog like Rex? Would she be able to break through his fear and mistrust? Despite the doubts, she set her alarm for dawn. Across town, under the faint glow of moonlight, Rex let out a sigh, as if some part of him sensed that his story wasn't over just yet. The following morning, the shelter hummed with routine as staff cleaned cages and fed the dogs. For Rex, it was just another monotonous day. The shelter manager, Karen, approached his cage with a clipboard, her expression heavy with regret. "I'm sorry, boy," she murmured. "We tried." Rex didn't react. He had stopped expecting miracles. As Karen moved on, Emily arrived at the shelter. She parked outside, clutching her phone, the image of Rex still open on the screen. Her heart raced as she entered the building, where Karen was reviewing Rex's file one last time. When the door opened, Karen looked up to see a young woman standing there, slightly out of breath. "Hi, I'm Emily," she said, her voice shaky. "I called about Rex. Karen raised an eyebrow. "You're early," she said, glancing at the clock. "But you're too late. He's scheduled." "Wait," Emily interrupted, her tone firm despite her nerves. "I'll take him." Karen hesitated, studying the determination in Emily's face. "Rex isn't an easy dog," she warned. "He's been through a lot, and he's shown signs of aggression." "I understand," Emily replied, her voice steady. "But please, just give me a chance." After a long pause, Karen nodded. "All right," she said. "Follow me." As they walked down the corridor, the sound of barking grew louder. The smell of disinfectant and damp fur hung heavy in the air. When they reached Rex's cage, Emily froze. He was even more defeated in person. His body curled tightly in the corner. His eyes, once filled with life, were dull and tired. Karen unlocked the cage and stepped aside. "Take it slow," she advised. Emily knelt down, speaking softly. "Hi, Rex," she said, her voice gentle. "I'm here to take you home." Rex didn't move at first, his eyes flicking toward her with wary caution. Slowly, Emily extended her hand, palm up, and waited. Minutes felt like hours, but finally, Rex lifted his head and sniffed her hand. "It's okay," Emily whispered. "You're safe now." For the first time in weeks, Rex took a tentative step forward. As Emily attached the leash, Karen watched in quiet disbelief. Something about Emily's presence seemed to calm the dog who had spent weeks retreating from the world. As they left the shelter together, Emily felt a swell of emotion. Rex walked beside her, his steps slow but steady. He wasn't just a rescue. He was a reminder of hope and second chances. And as they stepped into the morning light, it was clear that their story was just beginning. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to Epic Story Moments. Share this video, click the bell icon for updates, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Every view helps us create more impactful stories. ****. Karen acknowledged Emily's presence, her expression cautious yet hopeful. Opening the cage, Karen moved deliberately, her movements slow. "Be careful," she warned softly. "He's not exactly welcoming." Emily crouched down outside the cage, her voice soft and steady. "Hey, Rex," she said gently, her words carrying warmth. "It's okay, boy. I'm here to take you home." At the sound of her voice, Rex lifted his head slightly, his ears twitching at the unfamiliar kindness. He didn't move but met her gaze with a flicker of curiosity, an ember of life in his otherwise defeated eyes. Carefully, Emily extended her hand, making sure to give him space. "It's okay," she whispered, her tone soothing. "I'm not going to hurt you." Rex hesitated, his body tense. But after a moment that felt like an eternity, he shifted slightly, his nose twitching as he sniffed the air cautiously. Emily held her breath, her hand still outstretched. Slowly, cautiously, Rex moved toward her. His steps were small and unsure, his body language guarded yet hopeful. When his nose finally brushed her hand, Emily felt an overwhelming surge of relief. "Good boy," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "Good boy." Karen stood silently, watching the exchange with a faint smile, replacing her usual skepticism. "You've got a lot of work ahead of you," she said softly, a hint of optimism in her voice. "But maybe, just maybe, this will work." As Emily gently led Rex out of the shelter, the morning sun bathed them both in a warm glow. Rex's steps were hesitant, his body stiff, but he followed willingly. For the first time in months, he was leaving the cold, confined space of the shelter. For the first time, there was a glimmer of hope. The car ride back to Emily's small apartment was quiet. The hum of the engine and the occasional rustle from the back seat were the only sounds. Rex lay curled on a blanket she had carefully placed for him. His eyes scanned the unfamiliar world outside the window, his body tense, as if bracing for disappointment. He had learned not to trust moments of kindness, as they were often fleeting. Emily glanced at him in the rear-view mirror, her heart aching for the broken soul in her care. She wanted to comfort him, to say something that would ease his fears, but she knew words wouldn't be enough. Trust had to be earned, not given. When they arrived, Emily parked in front of her modest apartment building, a place she had made her sanctuary. She turned to Rex and spoke softly. "We're here, boy. This is home now." Opening the door carefully, she gave Rex time to adjust before extending the leash. He hesitated, his ears twitching, but eventually stepped out. His paws touched the ground tentatively as he sniffed the air, his posture still wary. Inside the apartment, Emily had prepared everything for him. A cozy dog bed was placed near the living room window, and fresh water and kibble waited in the kitchen. She had spent the night before ensuring the space would feel welcoming. Yet, as Rex explored, his movements were stiff, his nose inspecting every corner cautiously. When he reached the dog bed, he sniffed it briefly before retreating to a corner near the door. Curling into a tight ball, his eyes remained fixed on Emily, watching her every move. Emily sighed, her heart heavy. She had anticipated this reaction, but seeing Rex so withdrawn was harder than she had expected. Kneeling down, she spoke softly. "It's okay, Rex. You're safe here. No one's going to hurt you." For a brief moment, his eyes softened, but he didn't move. Respecting his boundaries, Emily gave him space, retreating to the kitchen to prepare dinner. She hoped the comforting smell of food might coax him out of his shell. The next few days were delicate. Emily established a routine, letting Rex acclimate at his own pace. She spent hours sitting quietly on the floor near his corner, reading or working, allowing him to grow accustomed to her presence. Gradually, his posture became less rigid, his eyes less guarded. One evening, as Emily sat on the couch, she felt a faint nudge against her leg. Looking down, she froze, her heart skipping a beat. Rex had approached her, his nose gently touching her knee. Afraid to startle him, she moved slowly, her hand hovering before resting on his head. "Good boy," she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. Rex didn't pull away. After a moment, he retreated to his corner, but the bond had been established. Weeks passed, and Rex began to change. His tail wagged softly when Emily called his name. He started following her around, maintaining a cautious distance but always staying close. The first time he lay on the dog bed she had set up for him, Emily couldn't hold back her tears. Each small step was a monumental victory, a testament to his growing trust. Rex's scars, both physical and emotional, told a story of pain and survival. But in Emily's care, those scars began to fade, replaced by moments of joy and a newfound sense of belonging. One day, as they walked together in the park, Rex trotted beside her confidently, his ears perked up and his tail wagging freely. Emily looked down at him, her heart swelling with pride. "You're home now, Rex," she said, smiling. And for the first time, Rex looked up at her with trust in his eyes, as if to say, "I know." If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Epic Story Moments. Share this video, click the bell icon, and help us create more stories that inspire and heal. Thank you for being part of our journey. ****. Rex stirred uneasily near the window, his growl rumbling low in his throat as Emily sat frozen in thought. The revelation from the shelter weighed heavily on her heart. It all made sense now. The scars, the haunted look in Rex's eyes, his guarded demeanor. A dark past of dog fighting wasn't just a story, it was his reality. And now, it seemed that reality was catching up to him in the worst way possible. As Emily sat on her couch, the previous night's incident replayed over and over in her mind. The mysterious car, the way it sped off when she confronted it. It all felt deliberate, calculated. She looked over at Rex, who was still on edge, his body tense, his gaze fixed on the window as though expecting the danger to return at any moment. "Rex," Emily murmured, walking over to him and kneeling beside him. She stroked his fur gently, trying to calm him, though she herself was far from calm. I don't know what's going on, but I promise you, I'm not going to let anyone hurt you again. Over the next few days, Emily noticed subtle changes in her neighborhood. Cars she didn't recognize parked nearby. People lingering on the sidewalks a little too long. Rex, too, seemed more on edge, barking at every unfamiliar sound or movement outside. The once peaceful sanctuary of her home was starting to feel like a fortress under siege. Unable to shake her growing paranoia, Emily decided to take action. She contacted a private investigator, a woman named Claire, to dig into Rex's past and find out who might be following them. During their first meeting, Emily explained everything: how she had adopted Rex, his scars and behavioral issues, and the unsettling car that had parked outside her home. Claire listened intently, her sharp eyes narrowing as she pieced the story together. If Rex was part of a dog-fighting ring, Claire said, it's possible that someone from that operation is trying to track him down. Dogs like Rex, trained fighters, are worth a lot of money in that horrible world. They might want him back, or worse. They see him as a liability, since he's now in someone else's care. The word sent a chill down Emily's spine. She looked at Rex, who was lying on the floor near her chair, his body still tense despite the calm surroundings. So, what do I do? She asked. How do I keep him safe? First, Claire said, we'll look into the shelter records and see if there's anything more concrete about where Rex came from. Second, I'd recommend upgrading your home security. Cameras, motion detectors. Anything to make your house less of a target. And lastly, be vigilant. If you see anything suspicious, call the police immediately. Emily nodded, her resolve hardening. She wasn't going to let anyone take Rex away, not after all they had been through together. The following days were a whirlwind of activity. Emily installed security cameras around her apartment, changed her locks, and started taking Rex on walks at different times each day to avoid falling into a predictable routine. Meanwhile, Claire dug deeper into Rex's history, uncovering fragments of information that painted a grim picture of his past. Rex had been rescued from a raid on an illegal dog-fighting ring several months before Emily adopted him. The operation was part of a larger criminal network that had been under investigation for years. While many of the people involved had been arrested, some had managed to evade capture, and it seemed one of them might be looking for Rex. One evening, as Emily was reviewing the footage from her new security cameras, she spotted something that made her blood run cold. A man in a dark hoodie had been lurking near her apartment building, his movements deliberate and cautious as he scanned the area. Though his face was obscured, there was no mistaking his intent. Emily called Claire immediately, her voice trembling. He's here. Someone's watching the apartment. Stay inside, Claire instructed. Lock your doors and don't engage. I'll contact the authorities. The next morning, Claire arrived with a police officer to review the footage. The officer assured Emily that they would increase patrols in the area, but his words did little to ease her anxiety. She couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over, that whoever was after Rex wouldn't stop until they got what they wanted. That night, as Emily sat on the couch with Rex by her side, she couldn't help but feel a surge of determination. Rex had already endured so much pain and suffering, and she refused to let him go through it again. She looked down at him, his eyes soft as he rested his head on her lap and whispered, I'll protect you, Rex, no matter what. But the true test of Emily's resolve came a few nights later. She was woken by the sound of breaking glass. Heart pounding, she grabbed her phone and dialed 911 before creeping toward the living room. There, she found a man halfway through the broken window, his face covered by a mask. Before Emily could react, Rex sprang into action. With a fierce growl, he lunged at the intruder, his powerful bark echoing through the apartment. The man stumbled backward, clearly not expecting such a fierce protector. In his panic, he fled, leaving Emily and Rex unharmed. When the police arrived, they commended Rex for his bravery. He's not just a rescue dog, one of the officers said with a smile. He's your guardian angel. In the days that followed, Emily's apartment became a fortress of safety. The man who had broken in was never caught, but the attempted break-in served as a stark reminder of the dangers they faced. Yet, through it all, Emily and Rex grew even closer. For Rex, the incident seemed to solidify something deep within him. He no longer cowered in corners or flinched at every sound. Instead, he stood tall, his eyes bright with a newfound confidence. And for Emily, the bond they shared became unbreakable, a testament to the power of love and trust. As they sat together on the couch one evening, Emily looked into Rex's eyes and smiled. "We've been through so much, haven't we, boy? But we made it, together." And for the first time, Rex wagged his tail with unrestrained joy, as if to say, "Yes, we did." Emily's evening began like any other, but a lingering unease hung in the air. Deciding to be cautious, she meticulously locked every door and window, double-checking each one before settling onto the couch. Her loyal companion, Rex, a large, scarred rescue dog, stayed close, his demeanor unusually tense. He seemed to sense something she couldn't, his alertness offering her a fragile sense of comfort. But as the hours passed, the sense of dread only deepened. Around midnight, Rex's ears suddenly perked up and a low growl rumbled from his throat. Emily's heart raced as she followed his gaze to the front window. The car was back. Its presence had been haunting them for days, always lurking in the shadows. This time, Emily didn't hesitate. Grabbing her phone, she dialed the police, her voice barely above a whisper. "There's a car outside my house," she said urgently. "It's been watching us for hours. Please send someone." The operator assured her help was on the way, but the minutes stretched endlessly. Rex stood guard by the door, his posture rigid, his growls steady. When the police finally arrived, the car was gone once more, leaving only faint tire marks on the rain-soaked pavement. The officer took her statement, but could offer little reassurance. "If it comes back, call us immediately," he said firmly. After the officers left, Emily sank to the floor beside Rex, her hands trembling as she stroked his fur. "What have you been through, Rex?" she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. It was clear that Rex's past was catching up to him, dragging both of them into its shadows. But Rex, sensing her pain, leaned into her touch, offering silent comfort. Despite his scars, both seen and unseen, he seemed to promise her that they would face whatever came together. The following morning dawned heavy with the threat of rain. Emily sat by the window, a mug of coffee warming her hands, while Rex rested at her feet. His ears twitched at every sound, his calm exterior masking a tension that mirrored her own. The tranquility of the moment was shattered when her phone buzzed. It was Karen, the shelter manager where Emily had adopted Rex. Her voice was cautious. "Hi, Emily. I thought I should let you know, we got a call this morning. Someone was asking about Rex." Emily's stomach dropped. "What did they say?" "They didn't give a name, but they were insistent, asking if we knew where he was. I didn't tell them anything, of course, but..." Karen's voice trailed off. "Thank you for letting me know," Emily replied, keeping her voice steady despite the panic swirling inside her. Hanging up, she looked at Rex, who now watched her intently. "We'll figure this out," she whispered. "I won't let anyone hurt you." That night, the storm broke, thunder rolling through the sky as rain lashed against the windows. Emily locked up the house again, her heart pounding with every flash of lightning. Around midnight, the hum of a car engine cut through the storm's noise. Peering through the curtains, she saw it. The same car, parked across the street, headlights off, barely visible in the rain. Her hands trembled as she dialed the police. "This is Emily Carter," she said quickly. "The car is back. Please send someone." The operator assured her that officers were on their way, but Emily knew they might not arrive in time. Rex, now standing by the door, let out a low, guttural growl. Then came the sound she had been dreading. Footsteps on the porch. Her breath hitched as she whispered to Rex, "Stay here." But Rex wouldn't budge. his unwavering loyalty keeping him by her side. The doorknob rattled, and Emily's pulse raced. She grabbed a flashlight and shone it through the peephole, revealing a man silhouetted in the rain, trying to force his way inside. Before Emily could react, Rex lunged at the door, barking ferociously. The man froze, startled by the dog's powerful defense. Summoning her courage, Emily shouted, "The police are on their way. Leave now." The man cursed under his breath and retreated, sprinting back to his car, which roared to life and sped off into the night. When the police arrived, Emily recounted everything, her hands still shaking. They promised increased patrols, but she knew the danger wasn't over. Whoever was after Rex wouldn't give up easily. The next morning, Emily made a decision. She packed a bag, loaded Rex into the car, and drove to a friend's secluded farmhouse in the countryside. As they arrived, a sense of relief washed over her. This was a fresh start, a chance for Rex to finally escape the shadows of his past. For the first time, Rex stepped out of the car with his tail wagging. He sniffed the air, his body relaxed, his eyes brighter than Emily had ever seen. Tears welled in her eyes as she knelt down and hugged him tightly. "You're my family now," she whispered, "and no one will ever hurt you again." Rex's journey from a scarred, sheltered dog to a beloved companion was a testament to resilience and love. His scars told a story of pain and survival, but also of healing and hope. Together, Emily and Rex proved that no matter how dark the past, there's always a chance for a brighter future. If this story touched your heart, don't let it end here. Subscribe to our channel, Epic Story Moments. Hit the like button, and share this video with someone who believes in the power of love and second chances. Together, we can help more animals like Rex find the happy endings they deserve. Thank you for being part of this journey. Let's keep spreading hope, one rescue at a time.